Hi, my name is George and I'm just like you. I am a teacher of religious education, so my day job is working in a school with young people between the ages of 11 to 18. I teach here at St Paul's. This is my classroom that we're currently sat in, and I like to have some visible signs of inclusion that are here. So there is behind me the Intersex Progress Pride flag, which is the most recent version of what might be known as the gay pride flag, I suppose. It includes the colours of the trans flag, which are white, pink and blue, in the little kind of triangle with the chevron at the side. It includes the colours brown and black for people who are more likely to be persecuted for their identity from communities with people of colour. And the latest edition is the intersex flag, which is the yellow with the purple circle, representing those who are born with perhaps some male and female characteristics. The reason I have that up is because I want to make sure that my classroom is a place of inclusion and that people feel safe here. There are additional things in here as well. There are posters about feminism and Black lives being important. And I think one of the great things that have happened over the year that I've had this in the classroom is that many people feel very comfortable asking about them, talking about them, and exploring their own identity. So I think that's really, really important. I want to make sure that my classroom is a safe space for all people. I want people to feel as though they can ask anything, that they can learn themselves and they can engage in the diversity that we have around us. It doesn't just stop in the classroom, so I wear a couple of things in school, so I pulled it off, but I wear a rainbow lanyard with my keys attached to it that hangs out of my pocket. I have a couple of other things which I don't necessarily have on me at the moment, but a couple of lapel badges that go on my staff lanyard as well. The indication really is just a sign of visibility. I think one of the things that young people fear in particular when, certainly in spaces that are Catholic, but probably generally all the time, is they don't know how well an adult or an older person is going to react to them coming out or react to their questions about their identity. So I like to make it visible that I am someone that knows about and can talk about these things, and I am someone who is safe to share this information with. One of the things that I am looking at doing at the moment is running LGBT inclusion sessions in Catholic schools. So I've led training sessions with teachers, staff leaders, senior leadership teams, chaplains. Outside of school, I've led some as well in retreat centres, looking at how we might include people who are LGBT in a space that hasn't always been very welcoming for them. There are lots of things that you can do that do not break church teaching. Remember, the church teaching is to accept LGBT people with compassion, sensitivity and respect. So something like having pronouns visible in your email signature, something like having a visible sign on you that shows that you are a safe person to talk to. One of the other things I like to do is make sure that we're celebrating identity. I believe by having these visible symbols, that's what we're doing. We're celebrating all people that could be here. In addition, one of the things that I will speak about publicly is the need to stand up for LGBT people who face unjust discrimination. So it means speaking up for a ban on conversion therapy for all LGBT Christians, not just LGB Christians. It might mean as well publicly kind of condemning anyone that is making LGBT people or relationships illegal. Is there any questions you want to ask?
Has there been any times in school where you've had to maybe kind of directly kind of confront any transphobic behavior, and if so, maybe how have you handled that?
Yeah, so transphobic behaviour has been minimal in my time in school, which is a real kind of, it shows that young people really are aware of what's happening, and perhaps we as the adults are the ones that need to make the change. So I have occasionally been misgendered, but typically, without me having to deal with it, other students in the classroom will tell their classmates that they are the wrong pronouns, which is amazing. In terms of things that are maybe a bit bigger, a bit more serious, I think persistence has been the key. For a lot of people, and certainly people of faith, talking about the LGBT community is hard for them because they perhaps don't know enough, which is why I think it's really important to listen to the stories of LGBT people. There's a kind of fear around what you can and can't say, and around what you can and can't do with these things because of church teaching. So I suppose really I've kind of developed my perseverance. I have persistently kind of pushed for better inclusion, and instead of just coming up with problems that are happening or whatever else it might be, I've tried to come up with some solutions that would work as well.
So you've mentioned kind of working with Catholic schools in regards to inclusivity around kind of LGBTQ. So obviously you've mentioned, things like putting our pronouns in our emails, having, visible signs, maybe it's a pride badge or something on our lanyards. But what is like some other advice maybe that you would give to Catholic schools who want to be, who really want to make their LGBTQ students feel welcome and safe? Maybe they've got a bit of a fear because of the church teaching. What would you say to them? I
would say that, I can understand the fear for a start. I can understand that you might feel that you're going to attract some unwarranted attention. I can understand that. But I think you have to remember that the young people that are in front of us are what is most important. So a couple of other things I've looked at with schools are policies. So making sure that you have a visible inclusion statement somewhere in school, perhaps printed actually everywhere, might be a good idea. But that your policies recognise, and the Catholic Education Service has produced a booklet on this, Made in God's Image, recognising that bullying can take place in the form of homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, and outlining explicitly why they are not acceptable in our community. Church teaching says we must stop unjust discrimination, but also having a kind of process in place for when something like that happens, so that your trans or non-binary pupils, your LGBT pupils, so that they all feel safe enough to know that if they are going to encounter an issue, something will be done about it. In addition, you might want to start recognising some of the events that are important to LGBT people. So one of the things you might do in your school chapel, you might recognise Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is on the 20th of November. That is a day that you could reflect on and pray for an end to the persecution of trans people. So Trans Day of Remembrance is remembering those who have lost their life because they've been killed because they're trans, or because they've lost their life due to kind of suicide because of the bullying that they were facing. By remembering those people and by celebrating their lives and holding a memorial service, you are recognising an event that is important to LGBT people that should also be important to Catholics.